Hello guys and welcome back to Learning Forensic Science with Anchal Kapoor. So this is our third video of the drug Cannabis Sativa, and today we are starting with the morphological characteristics of the drug Cannabis Sativa. If you have not watched the previous two videos, you must have to visit them because in those videos we have talked about what are the active principal components of the plant Cannabis Sativa and some other details that you must know about this drug. So starting up with the macroscopic characteristic of the plant Cannabis sativa, what do you actually mean by macroscopic characteristics? So what is microscopic? That we see with the help of a microscope. Macroscopic is what we see with the normal naked eye. Okay. So when we see the plant Cannabis sativa, what are the features that we observe with our eyes? That are the microscopic characteristics that we are covering today. Okay. So, from starting off with the macroscopic characteristics, one thing which is very important that you should know is that the morphological characteristics means whatever the visual characteristics that we can see through our eyes. Morphology is how is the build up, how is the physical appearance of that specific plant, right? So, the morphological characteristics, the extent of branching, like okay, if this is the herb that we are talking about, these are the roots, this is the leaflet arrangement, right? If we are talking in these terms, and here are the flowers, suppose. Okay, pardon my tongue. Right, if this is the herb that we are talking about, the herb Cannabis sativa, so in this herb, how much of branching we will see, like how many branches will be there now, that, and also the variation in color, of the leaves, the variation in color of the stem, right? That all depends on two major features. It depends on seed stain. Like, seed stain is what are the genetical composition of that particular seed from which this plant has grown, right? So seed stain is completely a hereditary characteristic based on the DNA, or you can say the parental morphology of that particular seed from which it has came, right? And the second is, first point is the seed stain, and the second point is the environmental factor. So whatever the plant that we are seeing today, whatever the plant that is under observation today, depends on these two major characteristic features. So what is the seed stain? What is the DNA composition of that particular seed from which that plant has grown? And what were the environmental factors at the time when that plant was growing? So these environmental factors would include what was the lighting condition, how much water was provided, how many nutrients were supplied, and what was the space in which the plant grew. Was it an indoor cultivation? Was it an outdoor cultivation? Was it in sensimilia cultivation, breeding technique? That all we will be studying, right? So whatever we will see for the plant Cannabis sativa, it is not only determined by genes but also determined by the environmental factors. This you must keep in mind, right? Now talking about the biological identification of the plant Cannabis sativa, when we talk about botanical identification, you all know we have to classify a particular plant based on these orders. We have to classify by kingdom, division, class, order, family, genera, and species. So genera and species, we have seen that okay, the plant's name is Cannabis sativa, so the genus is Cannabis and the species is sativa. But then on a higher level comes family. So Cannabis sativa belongs to a family of Cannabaceae, right? From the family Cannabaceae, the next higher level is order. So it belongs to the order of urticales. It belongs to a class of dicotyledons. For those of you who have forgotten all about your 11th and 12th science notes, pull up those books back and you have to tell me in the comment section what is the difference between dicots and monocots, right? We have all studied it in our previous classes, but somehow we tend to forget it, right? So you would tell me in the comment sections what dicotyledons means, right? What is the difference between dicots and monocots? Then on a higher level comes the division. It belongs to a division of flowering plants, vascular plants, and the kingdom of plant, right? So this is the botanical identification of the plant Cannabis sativa. And whatever we are seeing, the morphological characteristics of the plant, that is not only based on DNA, but it is also based on the environmental factors in which that plant grew, right? Okay, so now starting up with the macroscopic characteristics of Cannabis sativa, how is the morphological features of Cannabis sativa all summed up, right? Let's see now. So it is an annual flowering aromatic herb. What do you mean by annual? Annual means grows once a year. It gives flowers, it has aroma, it has having a specific smell, and it is a herb, right? So in this herb, in herbs, we have a stem, we have roots, we have leaves, we have leaflets, whatever is the arrangement, right? And we have flowers on this. So this is the basic structure of a herb. So Cannabis sativa is a herb, point to be noted. Next, it is dioecious. What do you mean by dioecious? We have already discussed in our previous video. Dioecious means that the female flowers and the male flowers are found on separate plants. There is a separate plant for male flowers and a different plant for female flowers, right? So, the plant on which the male flower grows, the male plants are usually taller in height, like they would be taller, but they're less robust. So agar wind aayegi, they won't be able to stand erect. They're not very robust, they're not very strong, but they're taller. The male flowers, the male plants, right? They're taller but less robust than the pistillate or female plants, right? So female plants are less in height but they are robust. The male plants are taller in height but they are slightly weaker in nature. The stem is erect, the stem stands straight, right? And can vary from 0.2 to 6 meter in height, but the average height that is usually seen is 1 to 3 meters, right? So the average height is 1 to 3 meters, but the range can vary from 0.2 to 6 meters. The stem is green in color. The stem is green in color. Note it out, right? The stem is not brown in color, it is green in color, it is erect, stands straight, it is hollow from within. Like if this is stem, so when we take the dissection of the stem, the inside would be hollow and from the outside there would be some longitudinal grooves. So how can we visualize longitudinal grooves? So if this is the stem that we are talking about, right? If this stem I am talking about here, let me take a broader perspective. So if this is the stem that we are talking about, in this stem, there would be longitudinal grooves all around. And when we take a dissection of it, it would be hollow. If we look from upwards, if we take a upward view or if we take a section of it, it would be hollow from inside and from outside there would be grooves, longitudinal grooves, right? All strains of Cannabis sativa are wind pollinated. So since the pollen grains are on different plant, the ovaries are on different plant, so the pollen grains have to land ovary in some way. There would be some way of pollination, so they are all wind pollinated, right? The fruit is an achene. It is a very important term. Longitudinally grooved is also very important. It is green and erect is also very important, right? It is dioecious is also very important. And the fruit is an achene. Achene means the fruit is having only a single seed and that seed is covered with a hard shell, slightly covered by a thin ball of ovary. So in this fruit there would only be this one single hard shell, and that shell would be covering a single seed, right? And it is generally brownish in color. So when you talk about this plant Cannabis sativa, first thing that comes to mind is it is an herb, right? It is not a shrub, it is not a tree, it is a herb. It is an herb, it is an annual aromatic herb, flowering herb. It is dioecious in nature. The female plants grows on female flowers grows on different plant, and the male flowers grows on different plant. Since these flowers grows on different plants, there should be some way of pollination, so they are all wind pollinated, right? The stem, if we talk about stem, stands straight. It is erect in nature. From inside it is hollow, from outside it is longitudinally grooved, and the stem is green in color. The heights can range from 0.2 to 6 meter, but the average height is 1 to 3 meters. And the fruit is called as an achene. The fruit is generally dry, and only has one seed, which is covered by a hard, generally tortoise shell, and with a thin wall of ovary covered, generally brownish in color. So that is the fruit of this plant, Cannabis sativa. Now let us come to the main part of this plant, Cannabis sativa, which are the leaves. Now comes the most important part of this macroscopic characteristic examination of the plant Cannabis sativa, which is the leaf. The leaf of Cannabis sativa, as we have discussed in our previous video, is the part on which trichomes are present. Trichomes were hair-like structures from which resin is extracted, right? We have studied in our previous video. So, and that resin ultimately sums up to form charas, and then in the concentrated form leads up to hashish oil, right? So, leaf is a very important part of this plant, Cannabis sativa. So, the leaf arrangement changes from decussate to alternate on the extremities of the plant. So, if I talk about the plant of Cannabis sativa here, okay, this is the root. Suppose this is the stem, right? On the lower side, the leaf would be present like this. There would be opposite arrangement, which is called decussate arrangement. So on the lower side, there would be an alternate arrangement, and as we progress upwards, there would be more of like alternate arrangement of leaves. So from decussate to alternate arrangement of leaves vary in the plant Cannabis sativa. The leaf is palmately compound. What do you mean by palmately compound? So from a single leaf, if I say normal leaf is like this, but instead of this normal leaf, in a single leaf, there would be this one point from which several leaflets would be arranging so that it would resonate like the structure of our palm, right? That is why it is named palmately compound leaf. So it is not a single leaf. One leaf contain leaflets. Contain leaflets. So it is called palmately compound leaf, right? The margins are coarsely serrated. So when we talk about this particular leaflet per se, so in this one is this, and if I talk about this single leaflet from this leaf, this single leaflet, the margin of this leaflet is like this. So there are these teeth which are pointing towards the these teeth are pointing towards the tip of the leaf. So it is coarsely serrated. It has teeth, okay, it has sharp teeth. These teeth are pointing towards the tip. This is the midrib area, you must know. This is the midrib. From the midrib, the veins arise obliquely. These are the veins. So there is this venation that is found in these leaves. The veins arise obliquely at an angle from the midrib, right? So obliquely they arise from the midrib to the tips of the teeth. So from the midrib, the vein would arise and it would stop at the tips of the teeth. Like this, the midrib would go. So from here, from the tip of the teeth, it would go, right? Now, one other important concept. So you know that when I talk about this one herb, on the lower side, the arrangement of leaf is opposite. As I grow up, the arrangement of the leaf grows alternate. When I talk about this one leaf is actually palmately compound. In this palmately compound leaf, there are several leaflet present in a single leaf. When I talk about this specific one leaflet from this plant, so this one leaflet is coarsely serrated. The teeth are pointing towards the tip of the leaf, and the veins rise obliquely from the midrib to the tip of the teeth. Right? Now, if I talk about this one leaf, if I talk about, okay, for say this is one leaf, right? One leaflet actually. In this one leaflet, this is the upper surface that we are able to see. So if this is the leaf, this is the upper surface of leaf and this is the lower surface of leaf, and behind it would be the lower surface. So when we talk about the upper surface of the leaf, it is called the adaxial surface. It's called the adaxial surface, and when we talk about lower surface of leaf, it is called abaxial surface. Right? So the lower, which is called the abaxial surface, lower surface is pale green in color, and the lower surface has those white to yellowish brown resinous glands. You know what they are called? They are the glandular trichomes. Now, enough about this mystery of trichomes. We would be learning about trichomes in our next video, when we will be studying about the microscopic characteristics of the plant Cannabis sativa. So for now, all you got to know about the leaf as of now is that the leaf arrangement changes from oppositely arranged to alternate as we move upwards. The leaf is palmately compound. The margins are coarsely serrated. The teeth are pointing towards the tip, right? The veins run out obliquely, right, from the midrib to the tip of the teeth. The lower abaxial surface is pale green in color, and it contains those white to yellowish brown resinous glands, which are the glandular trichomes. So when in my next video I would be asking you where are these glandular trichomes found, you have to tell me that they are found on the abaxial surface of the leaf of Cannabis sativa. With this, we end the macroscopic characteristics of the leaf. In our next video, we will be continuing with the microscopic features. See you then.